last one. Just say this time. If it cuts out again. Hi there everyone, sorry, hopefully that's the last of the technical issues. So just in closing what I was saying earlier about hippos being susceptible to predators, generally a pod in the water, not really much can get them, and if a crocodile had to venture too close, it could be extremely dangerous for them, as a hippo could easily kill a crocodile, no worries. The only hippos that need to be fearful of predators really would come from small hippos or even the calves, and that's why the mothers of the calves will defend their young no matter what, and a pride of lions even would think twice before trying to mess with a female hippo and a youngster. In terms of male hippos, they don't really have much to worry about. Again, lions are wise enough knowing not to pick a fight with them. Only if a calf had to stray away from its mother, stray away from the pod, could something happen. Maybe a crocodile could possibly get one. But hippos are quite good in that they'll set up a bit of a nursery system where you'll have females that will work together to look after their young. And at night time, should females need to go and forage, either the calf will accompany the mother, or it can stay behind, and one of the females is almost like a designated caregiver running a bit of a nursery, and they can take turns in looking after their young. So there's a lot of protection for the hippos. Don't really need to worry about much in terms of predators. So as you can see, these hippos in the water, you'll see that they've actually got some visitors and some friends that are sitting on their backs as they go. These are your red-billed oxpeckers. And these birds are quite synonymous with any of the larger mammals within the African bush, especially mostly your antelopes and so on. You won't find them on predators as such, and you won't find them on elephants because elephants don't tolerate the oxpeckers. But because the hippos can't really do anything about it, these oxpeckers are able to get a free ride on the backs of the hippos. And what they actually do, predominantly these oxpeckers are known for feeding on ticks. So little tick insects, blood-sucking insects, parasites that have gotten into the hippo's skin, and they've managed to burrow in there, and they are living off the blood of the hippo. These oxpeckers can go around and look inside the hippo's ears and in all the delicate areas of the hippo and try and get rid of these ticks that are on the hippo's body. So it does perform a bit of a service to the hippo and all the other antelopes in the area, so they are tolerated mostly. The only downside of this symbiotic relationship is sometimes the birds themselves can also be a bit parasitic, just depending on the situation. So at the end of the day, what these birds are really after would be the blood and the nutrients from the animals, and ticks are just an easy way for them to get to the blood source. Obviously, animals with thick hides, there's not much that the bird can do to get to the blood. But should one of these hippos get into a nasty fight with each other, sometimes they can cut each other open and there can be scarring. And if that happens, these birds can actually go into those nasty cuts and they can feed on the hippo directly, not needing the ticks. So in some situations, these birds are a big help to help out these hippos and the other animals of the area. But when it comes to injuries, the birds aren't that great in that they can actually feed directly off the animal itself, becoming a parasite themselves. But if the hippo really wanted to get rid of these birds, he would just be able to go underwater and shake the birds off and push them off him. If he's on land and covered in birds, he might head for some thick bushes, and as he walks through the thick bushes, the birds will be forced to fly away. Sharon, I see you're asking about the elephant that you saw at Mamba Bush Camp last year, the naughty one. We did see him briefly in the start of the season in May while we were busy with the camp building on that side, but we haven't had any visits from him since then. So he is around, he is in the area, but he is not as naughty this year, and he hasn't been coming that much into the camp, which is quite lucky. Some nice close-up details there. So if you look at this hippo, you can see a lot of whiskers and hairs coming off the front of the mouth. And those are actually used as a sensory tool, much the way that a cat has got whiskers and they're able to have. Sorry, I don't know if you can all hear these hippos calling to each other now. It's quite a lovely sound, often described as a wheezing honk, where one bull hippo can start off and he's just advertising a bit of his territory, shouting nice and loudly that he owns his little patch of the river, and it basically starts a chain reaction that every pod of hippos then starts in chorus afterwards, that all the males start calling together to advertise that they're also in the river, that they also have a little bit of the river. And because they submerge down in the river, it actually echoes through and up the bank, so it can be quite loud and heard often through the nights while you're staying out here in the bush.